Consolidate clips. Consolidate, consolidate. That's for the Duran Duran fans out there. Anyway, consolidate clips. Okay, here's the scoop. Look at the screen here. So I just have one track of audio. Well, I've got others, but I'm just hiding them for the sake of this lesson. But when you start getting clips that look like this, or when you start getting tracks that look like this, where it's just a bunch of clips cut up, you got them where you want them to be, but it's just so, imagine there were like 30 tracks and they were all like this, just it might be better to consolidate them. What does consolidating mean? It means taking all the separate clips and consolidating it into one long one. Here's what I mean. So I'm on my smart tool. So basically I will select this whole group of tracks, then go up to edit, down to consolidate clip, and watch what happens. Boom. I just made one clip out of it. And you might notice that there's silent spaces where there were no clips. For example, look, I selected a little bit. My selection includes part of the track timeline, a little bit before the clip, a little bit after the clip, as well as everything in between the clips. And then when you consolidate them into one, see that silence there, that silence there, that silence there, that silence there, the silence there. It's actually literally making a brand new clip. And if you look over here in your clip window, look. Now remember, Pro Tools will not destroy your clips unless you tell it to. And as we've seen in other lessons, it is very good about saying, are you sure you want to do this? And explaining that these clips will be destroyed. These clips are not destroyed. They're still here. They still exist. However, if I want to go into those individual bits that I cut up, I can no longer do that. I would have to basically redo that track the way it was before. What do I mean? Look. So before, let's just get out of this. Before, if I wanted to make this clip longer, I could. If I wanted to make this clip longer, oh, look at that, I could. If I wanted to stretch this out, just to have some more silence at the end, I could. Or maybe a little bit of breathing room at the beginning, something like that, anything like that. But when you consolidate, all of those trimming possibilities are gone. So look, here's the trim, right? Look, I can't trim it because I've created a new clip. Because I've taken all those clips and made one new clip out of it. Oh, there was a little bit of audio before this little bit right here. If only I had the original clip, then I could, trim it out and sort of expose it. Nope, can't do that. You consolidated it. Like I said, all the original clips are there. You just have to basically put them in your timeline again to do anything, to basically like modify them the way you wanted to before you consolidated it. That being said, the consolidate thing is a good way to basically clean up your timeline. If you've got tracks and tracks full of these sort of cut up like pieces of dialogue, and you know for a fact that, you know what, this track is done. This track is locked. I'm done with it. I just want it to look neat. And on top of that, I've got all these clips in here. I just want a clip that is there that shows that this track is done. Well, I could consolidate it. So go like this. Consolidate clip. There it is right there. I could even rename it if I want. I could say consolidated. Boom. There it is. And now when I move on to my next tracks, I could just do this one by one, and it'll just look nice and neat, and it'll just come in really handy. I'm looking in the book right here to see if there's another reason why people might want to do this. It just keeps things also nice and orderly if you're passing this off to somebody else, saying, you know what, these tracks are done. Don't worry about them. Look, they're all consolidated. Work on the tracks that are all cut up. So it's also a good way to show people that, hey, these tracks are done. Look, all the clips are consolidated. No need to worry about those anymore. Just worry about the ones that are all cut up. So it's a good way just to also signify that something is done. Another thing you can do too is check this out. We see that it begins at 128 and ends at 3220, right? So what I can do here is I'll just basically create this whole big selection right here. I'll just overshoot it, right? And then I'll click on it. Consolidate clip. And now what I could do is go into grid mode. And basically, I could zoom in right here. And maybe just make the grid a little bit. No, that's fine. There we go. And then, whoa, longer than I thought. There we go. There we go. And if I want, I could go ahead, let's zoom back out just so it looks a little nicer. And if I want, I could go ahead and consolidate this. Boom. So now this is the new consolidated clip that is exactly as long as our video clip. So consolidation is also good just to sort of keep things nice and neat, to make sure you got a video track, and then you can consolidate the dialogue, your dialogue track to be exactly the length of your video track. That way, later on, maybe give it a couple days, you come back to it, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's right, I finished the dialogue track, I consolidated it, and I know for a fact that it begins and ends and therefore is in sync with the video track. It also is helpful to keep stuff in sync later on, because if it accidentally got sort of pushed to the side like that, you could say, oh, wait a second, I know for a fact that I consolidated it, therefore I know this and this are the same length because I consolidated it. So all I have to do is just match it up to the beginning again, and I could use spot mode for that. Let's see, this one begins at 128. I can basically say this one should begin also at 128. Boom, there it is. So that's where consolidation is pretty helpful. Keeps things organized, nice and neat.